We are podcastvideos.com. Our goal is to educate, enlighten, engage, and entertain. We believe in the power of love and transformation through storytelling. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Story Scaling Podcast with podcastvideos.com. I am Bang, and to my left I have
Bob Halstead,
Parker Dodson,
Nathan Selford,
and Dan Craig.
You guys, we got a super exciting episode. Today, we're going to jump straight into it. Describe yourself in 3 songs. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Describe your life.
Describe your life in 3 songs. Life.
So who wants to go first, right?
I feel like we all have to impress the musician. I feel like
Dan seemed really into it, so I'm gonna let Dan go first. He's even got to work on his show the camera.
Notes.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to lock up and be like,
Yeah, fair enough.
okay, we can edit that part out too.
Keep that in.
So I'm going to do. I'm the content guy, right? Most of this is going to be based on lyrics. Okay, but the honorable mention number 4 has no lyrics whatsoever. Simply the most expressive piece of music I've ever heard. It's Eric Johnson. It's Cliffs of Dover. If you're not familiar with it, just the guy makes Eddie Van Halen look like an amateur.
Ooh.
It's saying a lot.
That's a bold statement.
What's the name of that song?
Cliffs of Dover.
Okay, you can keep going. I'm just looking it up.
Yep. Okay. So number 3 would be a deep
What
cut.
number was that?
That was my honorable.
That's I can imagine lyrics.
So you're working 3-1.
Yep. 3-1.
I just do it in that.
Well, why does it matter? Tell us why you picked those songs.
I'm going to.
Okay.
I'm that sorry. I've got a deep cut from Pearl Jam. Wish List. Simply aspiration. Not their most popular, not off their best album, but it's just, they say, I wish I was, and it's cool.
And they're back on tour now, right?
I don't know. Last time I saw Eddie Vedder play, he was singing the national anthem in a Cubs game. So I'm not sure where they're at these days.
Yep.
So, number 2, Boys of Summer. I will let anybody pick the original Don Henley version or the Atari's cover. They're both excellent. It's just about, people you don't see all the time, you still have a relationship with, and it just doesn't matter. It's that easy. Number 1, I can't believe I'm going to tell the internet this.
I'm here.
Taylor Swift.
They're closer than you think.
I don't know.
Mariah Carey.
Wow.
Okay. All the one for people.
I'm going to go with Royals from Lorde.
I would have gotten that.
Figuring out what you want out of life, the world tells you you're supposed to want, and then just living your life until you get there.
Can we snap it up for Dan?
Oh, Dan came in strong.
That's fire.
Plus, that beat's awesome.
That's a fire song. I used to really, really like that song. I haven't heard it in a while. Well, I heard it in a while. I just ain't heard it, but I imagine it's still good.
All right, Bob seems to have put a little bit of thought into this.
So I had to challenge the system to ask me some questions to help me come up with some stuff. So I went through multiple iterations, come up what I think could be the kickery.
You put real research into
A
this.
little bit of research. So I'm a kid of the 90s, right? Late 90s.
Okay.
Man, alternative music is what I grew up on. So I gotta stick with that for the most part, right? So there's nothing like Nirvana. It smells like Teen Spirit. It's old, it's classic, iconic. I was a bit of a rebel at the time, man. I was a skateboarder. I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong things. And man, that's just spoke to us, right? It was new, it was fresh. People that hadn't heard anything like it. So that's up there on the list. Talks about the time of my life when I was going through a journey of self-discovery. I was old enough to get out of the house, do my own thing.
Dang, Bob.
I mean, that was it, right? Rock and rolling, man. Learning. Well, actually, that takes me to the next one. So, man, I grew up a little bit. Things happened with Nirvana. So David Grohl came out. Foo Fighters.
Not just a drummer anymore.
That's right. Learning to fly, man. Really speaks about growing up and finding my own direction. So I went from kind of being the wild child to kind of learning to fly, get out of my own, find the right direction. Then I had all these challenges in life, man, becoming an adult, trying to figure out how to be my own person.
Staying alive.
Chili peppers, man. There's nothing coming to play here. Scar tissue, man. Yeah, learning how to take those hits, learn from them, and move on. Then I have a bonus track, man, that I couldn't get rid of. All right, and I kept coming back to this. These are the guys that started the alternative music. Every alternative band will credit these guys, and nobody knows who they are. But they're playing tonight at the end.
Are you going?
I'm going.
Yes.
I have waited for over 30 years to see these guys.
No way.
That's right. And my cousin's up in Chicago, and he gets to see them every few years, and I've never made it up there. But it's the Pixies.
Oh,
Where is my mind?
I gotta check them out.
choice.
Yep, they are playing tonight with Modest Mouse, and there's gonna be a bunch of old guys like me rocking out, and that was the true beginning of alternative music.
I saw them at the amp a couple of years ago with Weezer. It was a serious flashback to our childhoods.
Stop. It's the next line of the lyric.
Hello? I wasn't gonna play it. I'm just adding it to the live. Oh, it is the new class. That's really how the song starts. Hey, you get bonus points, Bob. You actually going to see somebody that you named tonight.
Great timing for the question, for the subject.
The spot.
And it all fit together, man. Alternative was rocking in the 90s, and man, to have these guys.
Do you still have your flannels?
I don't. Although I'm quite a bit bigger than I was when I was a teenager, but they would probably still fit because of how baggy we were there.
That's true.
So yeah, that's me in music, man.
Like that. Fire.
I can go. Mine's not as deep. I mean, I just went to 3 songs that they're all fairly new, actually. I wouldn't say that the names themselves, like the lyrics within the song, outside of one of them, aren't real deep in meaning. It's just kind of, I would say, the song/artist was important at certain times, I would say, in my life. That's kind of the direction I went with it. So first one is Down in the Valley by the Head and the Heart. So the Head and the Heart is a kind of a folk rock sort of band, and they were kind of at a time when I first got into photography and really enjoyed doing it. And so with them, I would just, back in those days when it was just like me with a camera rolling around, I'd go out to the Buffalo, put the Head and the Heart on, and that was just my vibe.
Folk rock, a camera in the Buffalo. So you were a full-on hippie.
Oh, 100%. Not really hippie, but it was, I would dirtbag it quite a bit back then, man. It was a good time. Sleep in the back of my Jeep, like all that fun stuff.
Man, I love it.
My next one, I actually played this the other day for Jeremiah. It's called 90s Kid by Kid Quill. He's kind of a smaller artist, but that's kind of a lyric in the song where he just kind of talks through kind of like what it was like growing up, like school's out, it's summertime, you have no plans. And then it like progresses through the seasons of life to like, now I'm at a coffee shop, like I already know what I want. See a friend of mine, like talking with him, but he's with his family, and like, kind of what it was like to be kids back in the day type thing was pretty cool. And then the last one is Wandering Child by Wild Rivers, kind of another smaller folk group. And really the main thing with them, it's kind of the music that my now wife and I first started listening to when we started dating.
Isn't that sweet?
The Scott beating to her,
Shout
out to my wife. And so, the Wild Rivers, mainly that song in particular, just because it's a duo, it's a man and a woman. But I always sing the girl parts, which drives her nuts. So she wants to sing it. And so she just kind of laughs and watches me sing them now. But the Wild Rivers in and of a whole was just a group that we would always listen to just as we were dating. It was just a fun kind of time to be alive. Not that it's not now, but, I've got glasses today. I just got over double pink eye because I have a little petri dish of a child at home. So, yay.
The things we are putting out on
The safe space.
You want to do it, Nate? Roll up in your, in your tights.
All right.
Anyway.
Okay, so this is putting songs to describe your life is tougher than it sounds. I was like, 3 songs. When we brought up the question, but just to put out a list. Take It Easy by the Eagles.
Oh,
I feel like at my point at this point in my life, pretty easygoing, kind of taking it as it goes. And that's a song that anybody can relate to,
Like that.
Classic, yeah.
Yeah, it's the lyrics, it's the timelessness of the song. It's of that era. I just liked that kind of style. So
Old soul name.
old soul name, exactly. Yeah,
It's a classic even when Bob and I were young.
So that would be one. Two would be Bad News by
Leon Bridges.
Yeah. And this one is also about the lyrics too. Don't have a fancy name, don't have a fancy education, but I can make a good thing about bad news.
Have you seen him in concert? Okay, cool.
Yeah, he was just at the Amp. Not this year, but I saw him a couple years back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
puts on a good
good
show.
performer. Yeah, and I like the way that song sounds too. If you listen to it, you just gotta get lost in that music. And then that leads me to my last one, which goes back to the disco era. I Will Survive. And that one's all about the lyrics. Because I've got all my life to live, got all my love to give, and I will survive.
Dang, they came ready.
I feel like I just met Nate for the first two.
Y'all share an office.
That's fire. That's fire.
I think I grew up with Cake's cover of that, which is a little more vulgar.
A little bit.
Everybody got great lists so far.
They can't hear your own songs.
You didn't say that.
Just saying.
All right,
Can't take the easy road.
stadium status out right now. But
Yeah, you asked the question. Now you're up.
all right, here we go. First one, Is This Love by Bob Marley.
Okay.
He's one of my top artists. I grew up
A lot of good messages.
a lot of good messaging. I think he's one of the reasons kind of how I fell in love with like you were saying, the importance of lyrics in songs.
Yeah.
Like we was listening to this stuff as children, not even realizing that it was just like boosting our psyche just off of the positivity he was spreading. So Is This Love is one. I grew up on Lil Wayne and the Hot Boys,
Okay.
so they got a song that was very popular that dropped in the 99s to the 2000s. I'm not going to mention that one, but everybody know that one. But Wayne is probably one of my favorite artists of all time. And so he had a song called Hustler Music.
Yeah.
And it just kind of puts you in that mindset of like, okay, I got to go grind and I got to go get it. And so that'll make the list. And there is a R&B soul singer named Cleo Soul. And she has a song called Know That You Are Loved. And that's all she says for like 3 minutes. It's just in a repeat. And I'm like, this is a good reminder. Sometimes you be going through stuff, you don't be feeling like,
It's going to take you a minute to hear it, man.
totally. So that's my 3.
So I gotta jump back in here because the discussion has brought a few more things to light.
Okay.
So we can't forget the Beastie Boys.
Okay.
All right, nobody brought them up, but they were Check Your Head. It was one of my first albums. Or License Still, all those things. So I mean, these guys were top of my list.
Embarrassingly enough, one of my first albums just played at the Amp the other night.
Go ahead, spit it out.
What was it? Because it was New Kids on the Block.
What is very hairy?
My wife, when I refused, but I couldn't do it. I didn't listen to them back then. I'm not gonna listen to it now.
Shout out to New Kids on the Block and the Beastie Boys.
There's a lot. That's kind of just goes to show you how much music is out there, man. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
When I got to circle back on Parker a little bit, singing the female spots there, reminded me of a ride. So my daughter and I were heading to the Buffalo for her first canoe trip. Had the truck loaded up. First time we've ever had a girl on a canoe trip. Bunch of guys, weekend long trip. And there we were singing Pink. Give me just one reason.
Yes.
We had our different parts, and I was trying to sing high, and it was ugly. It was rough. But talk about 3 points in our life, right?
Oh, I never said I could sing it good, but I definitely sang better parts. Just mainly one point where she really gets into it. Later, she always stops, and I see her cut her eyes over at me, and I'm like, oh, I got this.
All right. That's pretty good. Notice?
Oh, I'm not doing it right now off the rib.
Grab that mic.
One of these days, I will. That's what I thought. I like that. That was good.
Good topic, good session, good
Good
memory.
session, guys.
Yep. And now we'll jump off come back for another one and go completely a different direction next time.
Well, and that's what makes it so fun
Yeah.
with doing a podcast or whatever else it is. And the usage of the studios in and of itself is it's like, we're not really talking about a particular matter. We're just sharing cool stories.
Yeah.
Stuff that we can look back on, years down the road and say, oh yeah, I forgot about that song. Or, I forgot about this. Or, Nate went off and had a very cool life that was beyond us, with his long hair.
Bob apparently had to wait out some statutes of limitations for things he did.
Yeah.
No comment.
It's like, I played the third night.
Yeah, episode 1.